All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Listen, I have a topic that I've been thinking about recently, the last probably week or so, that has completely transformed my life and what I'm doing. I've heard this multiple times before, but I wanted to break it down for you in a very simple way. We've all heard to stop living for the affirmations and approval of others, and that shouldn't be a dictator of like what we're supposed to do. But I think I need to break it down on a deeper level. And I think a lot of us, whether we realize it or not, it kind of comes from how we were raised in certain ways. Where, for example, if you like did something, I grew up with a chore chart with gold stars if we did stuff like that. And I realized that kind of taught me something that affects how I live as an adult, to where if I wasn't getting gold stars or affirmation or good jobs from people all throughout the day, every activity that I do, including whether I'm going to the store, going to the bathroom, walking around in public, talking to people, literally, I was seeking gold stars in the form of people looking at me in a certain way, giving me an affirmative look of some kind. And here's what I want to say is, think about that. Do you walk around wondering what the perceptions of other people about you are around you, what other people think? If you're recording a video like this, are you looking for gold stars of affirmation, of hearts or likes or comments on social media? It's one of the number one things that gives us a sort of an evaluation and analysis of if we're on the right track, if we're doing something right. People say, good job, you're doing good. However, when we're making a change or a shift in our lives, when we're trying to shift towards going after the calling that we're supposed to do, most of the time, initially, you are not going to get the affirmation you're looking for. You're not going to get the good jobs and the gold stars and the affirmation of you're on the right track. In fact, you're probably going to get the exact opposite. You're going to get, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? You're stupid. You're dumb. Don't do that. Play it safe. And that's what happens, is so often when we go to make a big change in our lives, we get hit with pushback, or even just, well, I hope you can do it. I hope you do. And people, those aren't the affirmations and gold stars that we're seeking. And what I realize is, to make a change in your life and to change and affect the world around you, you need to stop seeking the affirmation of gold stars and good jobs from people. Okay? And this goes really deep. There's the 5 love languages. Mine is affirmation. When people tell me I did a good job, it really does make me feel good inside. However, if I live my life and every activity that I do is based around, am I getting affirmation from other human beings around me? That's a recipe for failure. That's a recipe for going down a path that can ruin your life, in fact. Only seeking after the gold stars and the affirmation, especially when you're called to do something that breaks the mold, that breaks through, that shatters a glass ceiling, that breaks outside of the box. When you're trying to break outside the box, you're going to end up with shattered pieces, not gold stars and affirmations, okay? When you're breaking something, when you're pushing through and breakthrough, you're not going to receive that affirmation once you get to the other side. Yes, it usually does come in some form or another on the other side. But that's not what you're seeking after. What you're seeking after is what you're supposed to be doing, what that calling is. And so for me, I had to break out of this. I realized I would go out in public places and I'd be like, oh, somebody gave me a look. And I realized me saying somebody looking at me in a certain way is essentially saying that person didn't give me the gold star that I deserve for being here and being alive today. You see how silly that sounds? And so then we get in our head, and it can create depression, anxiety, worried what other people think about us all the time. And it will prevent us from actually doing the exact actions and activities that we're called to do, because we're worried about getting gold stars from people, getting affirmations, getting those good jobs. You're on the right track. And so I want to encourage you today to throw aside the affirmations, the gold stars, the good jobs. Stop living for that approval. Make a decision in yourself of what you are going after and what you're doing. And if it's a calling that's inside of you that you're supposed to do, many times you're not going to get those affirmations to start and begin it. And that's actually normal. That's how it's supposed to be. Because if it was easy for everybody to do it, everybody would be doing it, okay? And so that was one of the biggest breakthroughs really in the last week that I've had, to where I stopped worrying what I said, what I did, what was coming out of my mouth, what was going on, what my actions were. Stopped worried about those gold stars, because I knew this is what I'm called to do. This is what I'm called to go after. This is what I'm called to break through and press forward towards. And so I just want to encourage you that if you're somebody who is going through this right now, you have a calling or a vision or something that God has told you to do, or something just that you're trying to do. For example, one of my friends, he has an 8-second Corvette. It's a car. He takes it to the racetrack and races it. And it's one of the fastest cars. But all throughout that, while he was building towards that he knew he was supposed to do. And obviously this isn't, this ethereal calling from heaven to have the fastest Corvette. But all throughout that, there was, resistance. And then the breakthrough happened. And they reached the goal. And so if you're trying to even just accomplish very simple goals in your life, seeking after affirmation as your only indicator will end up pushing you down a path that you're not supposed to go down. And so I want to encourage you to make up a decision of what you want to do. Decide inside of you. It's really about identity and getting clear of who you are, who your authentic self is, and who you were called to be, who you were created for, what your purpose was, and going after that. Have a good one, everybody. We'll talk soon.